Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome. My name is Shruti, and I'm a part of the Early Bird team. And from the Early Bird team, I also have Mo who will be supporting me in this session. If you're joining us for the first time, let me share a bit about what we do. So, at Early Bird, our mission is to connect young people with nature using books, games, courses, and live events like this one. And today we have a very, very interesting session lined up for you. And leading our session today is Subiksha Venkatesh, who is a lead wildlife rehabilitator with the Avian and Reptile Rehabilitation Center, ARRC, in Bengaluru. Hi, Subiksha. Thank you so much for
Hi.
joining today.
Nice to meet all of you today.
And let me tell you a little bit more about Subiksha. So she works with rescued wildlife, including snakes, and is involved in rescue, rehabilitation, and awareness. And through her work, she also helps children and adults understand the wild animals that live around us and learn how we can safely coexist with them. So before I hand over the mic to Subiksha, I have a few announcements so that we can have maximum fun in this session. Please ensure all of you are on mute so that you can hear Subiksha clear. And if you see something cool on the screen and you like something that Subiksha is showing you, you can use the react buttons in Zoom and you can put thumbs up and hearts and applause, give. And if a question pops up in your head, you can type it in the chat box and we'll have a Q&A at the end. We also have some quizzes, so stay focused and the quiz will pop up on your screen. You can answer directly on the screen. If you're not able to see the pop-up, you can also put your answers in the chat. If you're joining us on YouTube, you can also drop your questions in the chat. Okay, so yeah, that's all. We're ready to start now. Over to you, Subiksha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shruti. So good morning, everyone. My name is Subiksha, and like Shruti ma'am was saying, I work as a wildlife rehabilitator at ARRC in Bangalore. So now you guys must be wondering, what does a wildlife rehabilitator do, right? So we rescue any wild animal that is injured or is in trouble. We treat them, look after them, and help them get back into the wild. And at ARRC, we work with birds, we work with small mammals, and we work with reptiles. And a big part of what we do is helping people understand the animals that are there around them. Because our cities are not just home to us, the people, right? We have bulbuls nesting in our balconies, we have squirrels moving through our gardens, frogs in our lakes and ponds, and also snakes living alongside us. And that brings us to today's topic, snake smarts and figuring out how to live alongside snakes. And I think snakes are particularly interesting animals for us to talk about because, as budding naturalists, we often spend a lot of time trying to understand the animals that we observe. So, when you guys see a bird, you must be thinking, what is the bird eating? Why is it behaving like that? Where is it making its nest? And, if you hear a call, what is it trying to communicate, right? And today we are going to do the exact same thing with snakes. And before we dive in, I want you guys to take a minute and just 1 second. My screen is frozen for some reason. Yeah, so I want you guys to kind of take a minute and put down your knowledge of snakes to test. So these are some of the things that I commonly hear when I interact with people about snakes. People think snakes are slimy. How many of you guys think snakes are slimy? Just put it down in the chat box. Snakes chase people if they were to see one. And all snakes are venomous. Are they really? Let's see, right? And snakes can hypnotize people. That's an interesting one. And snakes dislocate their jaw to be able to swallow their prey. Let's find out. And now you guys hold on to your answers and we will kind of come back to this again at the end of the session. And for the next 1 hour, we are going to follow the journey of a snake. Okay. So now you think about it. Imagine a snake. Some of you said you've seen a rat snake. Some of you said you've seen cobras. So they don't have any arms or legs. And you don't see snakes having ears also, right? Then how is it that they're able to move on the ground? They're able to climb trees. They're able to swim in water. And they're even able to squeeze themselves through really small spaces like rat holes. How does an animal without hands, arms, legs, ears do all of this? And to be able to understand how is the snake figuring all of this out, let us take a look at the snake itself, right? So if you go back to this, what is the snake? It is a reptile. It's kind of like a lizard or a turtle or a crocodile, right? But unlike these other animals, snakes have a little bit of an unusual body plan. Their bodies are really long and flexible, and almost everything about snakes is adapted to living without limbs, right? But there is something really interesting. Snakes did not always look like this. Their ancestors had legs. And this is an interesting thing, both birds and snakes, right? They actually evolved from the same ancestor group called sauropsids. And over the millions of years, their bodies evolved to different ways of moving, living across different habitats, and their limbs got reduced and it eventually disappeared in case of snakes. But losing legs did not mean that the snake lost its ability to move. Instead, the snake's entire body became adapted for movement. So, if you see the snake moving, right, what does it do? The snake has like a long vertebral column filled with many small vertebrae, right, made up of many small vertebrae. And it is powered by really powerful muscles along the length of the body. And covering the body, you have the scales. So, what happens is snakes use the entire body, right? The muscles in the body to move themselves or to propel themselves forward by pushing against any surface, and the scales help grip the surface. So instead of moving itself using legs, the snake uses the body to move around in its surroundings. And the snakes move in various different ways. Some move in water, some climb on trees, some are even able to move on sand. And the body isn't something they just kind of carry around, but it's rather the body is the way they interact with the world around them. And movement is only one part of the story. So now you don't have arms, you don't have legs. Then how do you find food? How do you know what is happening around you? You don't have ears to kind of, hear if somebody calls out to you, right? Then how is it that they're able to figure their way out? They're still able to find prey. They're still able to figure out how to, keep themselves safe from predators. So, snakes use a lot of different ways to detect the world around them. They rely on vision, although the vision is not as good as it is with a bird or something. They are nearsighted and they rely on chemical cues. Some rely on temperature changes that are happening around them, and they also rely on vibration. So, the snake is constantly detecting everything that is going around it to be able to understand how it can navigate the world. So now I have a quiz coming up. I want you guys to answer. So if you see, we have, you guys would have seen snakes are constantly flicking their tongue. By doing so, what is it that snakes are really trying to do? I will give you guys a minute and you can take your guess. Okay, we have some answers coming in. Most of you seem to be getting it right. That's nice. Nice. I think most of you have participated and most of you have gotten the right answer. So, yes, snakes do, use their tongue to sense their surroundings around them, to smell and sense their surroundings around them. I just want to have a quick question. Is the slide moving? Because for me, it is kind of stuck on the same thing.
Yeah, now it's moved, Subiksha.
Now it's moved. Okay, all right. Yes, to smell and sense the surroundings that are their surroundings, right? And what is the snake doing when it's trying to do that? It is not trying to taste the food the way we use our tongue, right? The snake's tongue is kind of like a sampler, like a chemical sampler. It's constantly collecting all these chemical particles or the pheromones that are there in its surroundings. And then what does the animal do? The tongue then brings that information back into the mouth, and the snake has a very specialized organ there called the Jacobson's organ. So once it places it in that organ, it transmits it to the snake's brain, and that gives information to the snake about what is happening around it. So the next time you see a snake flicking its tail, now you know what it's doing. It's trying to gather information. There may be a prey nearby, or another snake may have passed through the area, or it may be following a scent trail, so to speak, that it can follow. And the environment is full of chemical information, and the snake is constantly trying to gauge it and sample it, right? So that is what the snake is kind of trying to do. But snakes don't rely just on the Jacobson's organ to be able to sense their surroundings. Some snakes also have a really fascinating ability to detect heat. So our body gives out infrared radiation, right? So certain snakes, like the pit vipers, have specialized heat sensing organs that are called pit organs that are there on the animal's face behind the nostrils, right? So these help them detect the infrared radiations that are coming off from warm objects. So they are able to detect prey and other things that are there around them. That's a completely different way of experiencing the world compared to birds or humans. So now you must be wondering, what do snakes eat? And no, unlike most of us believe, every time we think about snakes, we always go to like, yeah, snakes eat rats. But snakes eat more than rats. Not all snakes necessarily have to eat rats. Some snakes eat rats, some snakes eat frogs, depending on their habitat, depending on their, their niche that they occupy in our surroundings. Some eat fish, some eat egg, and some snakes even eat other snakes, right? So they have a lot of different, the diet is very, very varied, and that's why we get to have so many different species of snakes kind of sharing the same habitat in Bangalore. So now, if you've seen snakes eat, it's not like they use, they chew their food or they use a spoon and a fork to kind of eat their food, right? What do? They immobilize their prey and they swallow the entire thing. Sometimes this prey is even much bigger than the snake's head. So, how is a snake able to do this? So snakes have some pretty interesting adaptations. No, they don't dislocate their jaw, but instead they have the jaw elements, right? Their lower jaw is very, very mobile. So it can kind of make way to be able to swallow the whole prey. And to support this, they have very, very flexible ligaments and joints. So the snake's jaw doesn't dislocate. Instead, the whole snake's head kind of expands to encompass the prey, and then they swallow it. So you see that snake doing that in the picture here, right? And snakes also sometimes have some interesting adaptations to be able to hunt. But before we get there, I have a question for you guys. Again, we have another quiz. So approximately what percentage of snakes found in Bangalore are poisonous? We have a trick question here. Want to see how many of you get it right? Okay. Okay, so I think most people have answered again. So, yes, one person has gotten the answer right in this particular case. The correct answer is zero. So, there are no poisonous snakes that are found in Bangalore. And let us learn why. I need help again. Is my screen frozen or is it playing for you? Because it's frozen for me.
It's frozen now.
It's frozen, right? All right. So yes,
Yeah,
the
now
right
it's
answer
come.
is B, which is none of them. And to understand that, we need to understand the difference between venomous and poisonous. Some snakes in Bangalore are venomous, which means what is venomous? Venom is again a toxin that an animal produces, right? It can be delivered either by a bite, or sometimes when, for example, if a scorpion stings you or a bee stings you, it can deliver the venom into your body. So it's a way where an animal is actively delivering the venom into your body, either with its spine or claw or sting or something like that. So venom is injected. But if you think about poisonous, it is a more passive way of transmission of the toxin. So if there are some species of frogs that produce toxins on the skin, and if you touch them, right, that can transmit through the pores that are there on your skin, and you can still, the poison can get into your body, enter your body. So it is done by either licking the surface or eating it, touching it, and things like that. So snakes are not poisonous. Instead, they are venomous. So they usually have venom glands, and they will kind of insert their fangs into their prey and inject the venom. And that is how they deliver it, right? So none of the snakes in are poisonous by nature. So let us understand, why does a snake produce venom? Snake doesn't produce venom to be able to hunt humans, or to do something to us, right? Snake's venom is not a weapon against people. Snake's venom is something that is very, very, very important to a snake. It is an adaptation that helps them capture, hunt, and digest their prey. So we already saw earlier that snakes don't chew their food, they swallow it whole, right? So when they inject venom, venom is like a cocktail of different proteins and enzymes. So when it injects that, so digestion will start happening from inside the prey, and that helps the snake. And in some cases, it's also a defense mechanism to keep itself snake. So I told you that snakes don't, it's not a weapon designed for humans. Then why is it that sometimes that snakes bite people? While humans are not the intended prey of snakes, even if the snake were to bite us, it's never going to be able to eat a human, right? So it doesn't produce venom to harm people, but what happens is bites occur when the snake feels scared, because it's a defense mechanism, right? So a snake, if you see a cobra, it will raise its hood, it's trying to warn you, saying, hey, I'm here, please back off. And if you're not able to respect what the animal is saying and we go too close and it's very scared to be able to protect itself, it may bite a person in self defense. But even then, snakes don't like wasting their venom, because venom, like I said, is a very complex molecule. It takes a snake a lot of energy to be able to produce that venom, and it would not want to waste it unnecessarily. There are situations where snakes sometimes bite but don't inject venom, and they are called dry bites, because that is how precious venom is to a snake. It may even go to the extent of biting to protect itself, but it would not want to waste its venom. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. And are all snakes venomous, like we already spoke about it? No, there is only a very, very small percentage of snakes that are venomous. Most of the snakes, almost 70% of the snakes, are non venomous. And venom also falls, I mean, in terms of with relation, it falls in three different categories. So we have non-venomous animals that completely don't possess any venom at all. Then we have mildly venomous snakes. For example, if you guys have seen the wine snake, which is very well camouflaged, it's there in Bangalore, but the chance of us seeing one is very rare, because they just blend in so nicely with the canopy. They're arboreal in nature. And then we have venomous snakes. And in Bangalore, there are 33 different species of snakes that have been recorded, and only a few are venomous. And the most common venomous snakes that you see across India, they're called the big four, that are of medical concern to people. We have the spectacled cobra. So the first one right here is the spectacled cobra. I'm sure everyone has seen the snake somewhere or the other, and they're very easy to identify. So if you see the cobra, it's a long snake. Whenever it's threatened, what will it do? It will immediately raise its hood. And by doing so, it's trying to communicate. It's trying to warn you, saying, hey, please stay away. Don't come close to me. Just give me some space, and I'll be out of my way, right? And usually behind the head, it'll have this spectacle marking, and that's how it gets its name. Then you have the Russell's viper. This is again a snake that is commonly found in Bangalore. These are nice brown snakes, fat and stout. And if you see this, you see these diamonds that are running along the length of the body, right? It'll start from the head and go on till the tail. That is how you can identify a Russell's viper. And they have like somewhat of a triangular shaped head. And these guys also give a warning sign. They give out like a very loud pressure cooker kind of whistle. That is how you'll be able to identify a Russell's viper. And then we have the Krait. Common Krait, these guys are nocturnal entirely. They're active at night, hunt during night. They are very long, black, glossy snakes. And if you see, they will have these two milky white bands starting from the near the neck portion of the snake, and they will continue till the tail. And then we have the saw-scaled viper. Very, very rare to see. In our 10 years of working in Bangalore, we have never seen a saw-scaled viper before. They are very small snakes. They're only about this big, and they are, sand colored. They have very blotches, zigzag blotches on the body. And one interesting thing about the saw-scaled viper is that the scales that are there on the body, right, they kind of jut out a little bit. So whenever the saw-scaled viper feels threatened, it'll kind of curl itself into an S, and it'll start rubbing its body together. And that produces the sound of somebody sawing through wood. And that is how it gets the name saw-scaled viper. Again, if you see, most of these venomous snakes also are not trying to bite you. What are they doing? They're giving you warning signs. They're saying, hey, I'm here, watch out, just give me some time. I'm going to, try to stay away from you. That is what they are trying to do. So now let us understand, how does venom work? All these four different species of venomous snakes we saw. Does the venom of all these snakes work the same way? Not really. Venom also is a very complex thing, and scientists are still trying to understand how does their composition, how does the effect vary between different species of snakes, or within different populations of snakes, or even within individual snakes, right? So we have four main categories. One is called neurotoxic venom. So neurotoxic affects the nervous system of the prey, and snakes like your cobra or the common krait have this type of venom. Next, we have hemotoxic, blood. So this affects blood, the blood vessels, the clotting mechanism of the prey. So you usually see Russell's vipers. Venom is hemotoxic in nature. Then you have myotoxic. Sea snakes have myotoxic venom, and these damage the muzzle of the prey. And then we have something called cytotoxic. Cyto is cell. So that causes damage to the cell, to the tissue, and that also usually happens around the site of the bite. And this you see in several species of pit vipers and other vipers, right? So that is what happens with venom. And even venom, right, the same thing can produce different types of, more than one type of effect in the prey. So now we will move on to, why is it, like, so much we have understood about snakes so far, why is it that we should even care about snakes? There is a risk of them biting us and all of that, right? So why should we? But if you think about it, snakes, like all other animals, are a part of our ecosystem. Just like you and I and the birds or the spiders do, they also have an important role to play. What do snakes eat? Yes, they eat rodents, and by eating rodents, they give us pest control free of cost. It's not like you and I are going and paying the snake that's living in an empty plot near our house 500 rupees every month, saying, oh my God, thank you so much, snake. You took care of all the rats around me. No, right? They're doing it completely free of cost for us. But apart from that, they're also helping, because they are predators to some animals. They help maintain the healthy gene pool of the prey species. And the same way, snakes are also eaten by so many other animals: mongooses, peafowls, cuckoos, shikras, kites. All of them eat snakes. So they also serve as food to other animals. And if we were to kind of remove snakes from our ecosystem completely, right, the entire ecosystem would collapse. So they do play a very, very important role in our cities. And if you think about it, our ancestors did understand the importance of snakes, and there are so many myths across different parts of the world, because people knew that as long as snakes are there, things are going to be in balance. So I have another quiz coming up for you. So there is one myth called the rainbow serpent myth. I want you to tell me, with mythological stories, of which indigenous group does this rainbow serpent feature in? Okay, we have some people getting the correct answer. Okay, most of you are getting it right. All right. So I think most of you have answered the quiz. So let's have the answer. So you guys are right. The correct answer is Australia. And let me tell you what this story is about. It's a really very heartwarming story, so to speak. And this is back when the earth was flat and dry and nothing was happening, right? There was this giant snake that kind of came out from a watering hole. And as she moved her giant body through the land, right, she created these depressions that became valleys, and those mounds became hills. And then what she did, she called upon the frogs that had their bellies full of water, and she kind of tickled the frog's belly with her tail, and the frog started laughing, and whatever water came out, they became our ponds, they became our lakes, they became our oceans. And that's how, all the other life forms started flourishing. And while the snake was so nice and, provided so much for everybody, anytime anybody got overly greedy or didn't want to share their water source or anything like that, right? She would get angry and she would punish them by calling upon the storm and punishing people. So snakes, they do play a good role, as well as they maintain that balance that is there in our ecosystem. And this is not just in Australia. These kind of myths are there in across the world. For in India, for example, we celebrate Nagapanchami, and we do revere snakes. And when we revere snakes, that is when we can safely coexist with them. And snakes are, neither good nor bad. And these kind of stories also tell us that it's not just a character in a story, right? These snakes are connected to our landscape, and people have recognized that over the years. And that tells us something interesting. And humans have been noticing animals for a very, very, very long time. We have watched them, we have lived alongside them, and we have even told stories about them, giving these animals some meaning. So today, when someone sees a snake and says, what is a snake doing in the middle of Bangalore? Maybe we need to kind of pause and think that snakes are not really new here. We have shared this space with them for a very long time. But it's probably, interesting to understand, why is it that our worlds are kind of colliding, and why are we having to interact with snakes? So snakes are very shy animals, let me tell you. We have worked with them. They will do their best to, avoid any conflict with a person. They're very quiet animals. But once in a while, what happens is snakes are living in these empty plots or the drains that are there near our houses. So what happens when we start clearing these empty plots to, build a house there? Or what if a road kind of comes between the space that the snake has had? Or what if all the vegetation that is there, say in a park or something, is cleared for something else? So, where do these snakes go, right? They will have to kind of move around trying to find new habitat. And when they are in the process of doing that, they end up coming in conflict with people, with us. And our spaces, if you think about it, wherever humans are there, even if you think about it in agriculture, wherever agriculture is happening, there's going to be a lot of grains that are stored. And wherever you store grains, rats are bound to follow. And wherever there are rats, snakes are going to follow. Similar thing happens around human spaces as well. So they get easy source of prey. So they end up coming too close to us. But that doesn't mean the snake is here for us. Every snake encounter that happens is purely accidental. If given a choice, the snake would do its best to never have to interact with a person in its life. But it may be looking for food, or it may be looking for water or shelter. And that's how it accidentally comes into our spaces. And you saw how snakes eat, right? They swallow their prey completely. So think about it. You guys have had like a nice Sunday brunch. Would you guys want to go on a walk and start jogging around or exercising? No, right? You guys would want to take a break. You guys would want to sleep for a little bit. Same thing with a snake. It might have eaten a prey near your house. It's not able to, move around or walk around very fast. So it's going to stay put in a corner. And that's how it kind of, is seen by somebody, for example. And snakes, unlike you and I, or even birds, cannot regulate their body temperature at all. So when, it's super cold outside, it's freezing outside, what is the snake going to do? Its body is also turning into ice. And when that happens, the metabolic rate drops, the digestion drops, everything starts dropping. So it's going to try to find a nice sunny spot or a warm place to kind of come out and bask and warm itself up in the sun's rays. And that is when people usually see it. Even if it's in an empty plot, it's hidden, it's there for 10 years. It comes out to bask once, and people see the snake and start panicking. Or the same thing happens in summer months. It's very, very hot. It's sweltering everywhere. We have our air conditioned room, we have our fans to keep us cold, but the snake doesn't have access to these things. So, what is it going to do? It's going to kind of wander around trying to look for a cool space. It could be a freshly watered lawn in an apartment complex, for example. And that is when people end up seeing the animal even though it's been around for a very long time, right? So that is something that happens. And one of the most common reasons that we see snakes is during the breeding season, which starts sometime in March and goes on until August. That's when the breeding happens. The hatchlings are coming out. They're trying to, explore the world. And snakes have no concept of parental care whatsoever. So it's not like a baby bird where, the mother will come, the parents will keep coming every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, trying to find all different berries and fruits and trying to feed it, right? That's not what is happening with your snake. So the female snake will come, she will lay her eggs, and that's it. She's done. She's gone from there. So when these tiny, tiny baby snakes hatch, they're this small, they're like worms. When they hatch, they have to figure out the big scary world all by themselves, where to find food, where to find shelter. And we already spoke about it. Snakes are territorial, other snakes eat them, so they have to kind of avoid all of this and try to survive. And in the process of trying to do all of this, they may make a mistake and accidentally come into, say, a corridor or your basement, or they may come into your balconies and spaces like that. So, don't really panic. And it doesn't mean that just because there are baby snakes now, the numbers are going to increase. They're going to be like 100 snakes in your surroundings next year. No, almost everything eats baby snakes. And baby snakes also have a lot of threats. Other snakes also have a lot of threats. We will learn what they are. So the snake population will control, will take control on its own. So we don't have to worry. If you see a baby snake, don't panic, call a rescue center. They will be able to come and help. And these are the common reasons why, all those snakes are so shy and want to do their best to stay away from humans. We end up crossing paths sometimes, right? So now I have a question. I think by now most of you will get the answer right. But what is the first thing a snake is most likely to do when it crosses paths with a human? Does it try to hypnotize the person? Does it chase the person? Does it try to escape? Or does it try to bite the person immediately? Okay, everybody is getting the answer right. And I'm glad to see that, which means you understood the crux of the session. Sorry, guys. Okay, I think most of you have answered, and almost everybody has gotten the answer right. Yes, they are trying to hide or escape. The snake will never come chasing after you to try and bite. It's going to try and slither out. You give it some space, it's going to slither out, or it's going to try and hide in something. And some snakes even play dead. There is a snake species called the cat snake that you find in some parts of Bangalore. So they will just kind of overturn and pretend to be dead so that the threat passes away. And then quickly the snake is like, okay, nobody's there. Now's the time. I make my exit. So they will never chase after you. They will always try to escape the situation, right? So now we will see what is it that you need to do if you were to see a snake. Yes, we did know that snakes are really nice. They're not trying to do anything to us, but that also doesn't mean that we go and try to handle the snake. You have to not crowd around the snake. The first thing is stay calm because the snake is not going to come after you. It's not going to try and bite you. So, stay calm. When you're calm, the situation is still in your control, right? Keep your distance away from the snake. So what is the safe distance? If the snake is 10 feet, maintain 20 feet distance. If the snake is 5 feet, maintain 10 feet difference. The general rule of thumb is maintain twice the length of the snake as a safe distance, right? And don't crowd around the snake, because when you corner the snake, when you crowd around it, the snake is going to get very, very stressed. Then don't touch it while it's fascinating. Please respect the snake. Please respect its boundaries. You wouldn't like it if I randomly come and hug you, right? That's rude. So let's not do that to the snakes either. Let's not corner it. Let's not try to capture it. Respect the animal. And most of the times what we see is, particularly if the snake is kind of outside, right? If it's inside your house, doesn't have any way out, then yes, you will call a trained snake rescuer, because if you responding to and handling snakes properly is important for the safety of both people as well as the snakes. But if the snake is not inside, if it's just at the entrance of the gate or something like that, leave the gate open, give the animal 10 to 15 minutes time, stand away and watch. Most of the time, the snake will move out of the space on its own if you give it the time and space, right? So that is what you will have to do, particularly if you see a snake in an empty plot, or if you see a snake on a tree or out in the wild. Don't bother it, don't disturb it. It is supposed to be in those spaces. And now we will also see how do you be snake smart. We will just summarize it again. You give the animal space, you maintain distance, you stay calm, you don't panic, and you give the animal the time to move away on its own. The snake is probably more startled by the interaction than you are. So if you give it time, it's going to gather its bearing and move out of there. But living in a city, right, for snakes where, habitat is getting lost, there's constant construction happening, there's so many activities happening around it, it's not easy. They face a lot of different challenges, and we do rescue snakes that come in because of during construction activity. Just yesterday, we got a case where, somebody's clearing the land around their house to build a new house. And when the JCB was excavating the place, what happened is the snake was probably hiding in the rat hole under that. So the snake, got injured when the JCB dug the land. So that is one of the main reasons why we get snakes, injured snakes. And, we would have to take them into surgery and try to, help them recover. A lot of times when snakes, right, they do perceive the surroundings by the vibrations that are coming off of it. So when a snake is crossing a road and suddenly a speeding car comes, it may not have enough time to respond. And a lot of times, snakes lose their lives because, vehicles run over them. There are also cases where dogs and cats attack snakes. We get a lot of cases where cats and dogs, right, they're curious by instinct. So if they see something moving around, they may go try to play with it or try to, scratch it. And a lot of times they come in with very bad injuries because of that. And if you have pets at home, it is important for you guys to keep your pet cats and dogs leashed. And even if you're letting them out, for them to have supervised outdoor time, because if a dog attacks the snake is definitely going to get injured. But sometimes if the snake is venomous, it may bite the other animal also in self-defense. So please keep this in mind if you have pet animals at home. And please make sure that you keep your cats indoors, because it's not just with snakes. Cats have, they're hunters by instinct, right? That instinct kicks in. And even though they don't consume the prey, they may just do it out of that, the whatever is driving them. So please keep them indoors. And there are cases where, a lot of times snakes get trapped in nets, particularly where nets are put for recreational purpose or, across agricultural fields. This snake is a buff striped keelback. So this was found on an agricultural land that put nets to keep animals from coming in. But unfortunately, the snake kind of got into the net. And what can the snake do? It doesn't have hands. It doesn't have anything to take the net off. The more the animal wiggles, the tighter and tighter it gets wound. Luckily, somebody saw the snake and called us for help, so we were able to go and rescue it. But a lot of animals get entangled in nets, and it's usually not a very nice thing for the snake to go through. And if nobody sees the snake, it's going to starve, and it's not going to have a very nice ending, right? And another thing that we contribute to directly to snakes is we put out glue traps. Glue traps, you see the sticky adhesive pad that is there, right? People use that to control the rodent population in and around their houses. It is banned. It's very cruel even for the rodent. But what happens is a rat gets stuck, for example. So what happens? A snake is moving, it's picking up on all those pheromones that is coming off, and it's like, hey, there is a rat close by. So it tries to go and eat the rat. What happens? The snake gets stuck in the process. You see how sticky and adhesive the glue is. There's no way the snake will be able to get itself out. And it's not just with snakes. Snake is there, something is coming to eat the snake. What happens? A bird, for example, say a shikra has come. The shikra also gets stuck. So glue traps have a cascading effect on our wildlife. So if you see anybody using these, please tell people to not use glue traps. You have free pest control service that nature is providing you. You have your barn owls, you have your snakes. Let them do the job instead. And even if you have to control the rodent population, please use humane pest control methods like the catch and release trap, and take care of your waste well, because that is what is going to help you take care of the problem in a more sustainable fashion in the long run. Sometimes people also panic and end up accidentally killing snakes. And people also use rodenticides, these rat cakes, to control rats. That again, the same way glue trap has a cascading effect, rat traps, rodenticides also do that. Rat consumes it, a snake consumes it, the snake is going to get affected. A bird consumes that, then it's going to also get affected by the same poisons that are there in your rodenticide. So please don't use these things. At least whatever is in our control, let us do that to keep our snakes safe. And to be snake smart and to be able to live alongside snake, we need to know a couple of things, which is knowing the animal, understanding their behavior, respecting the animal, and if you were to encounter that animal, give it the space and time. And like we already discussed, if you were to encounter a snake, you will stay away from it. You will also keep your pets away from the snake. And you should be aware of some basic snake bite first aid. If something were to happen, you have to immediately take yourself to a hospital or have somebody drive you there, because snake bite is a treatable condition. And there is something called an anti-venom that will be given by the doctor. And once people take that, that kind of neutralizes the venom and the person will be fine. So we will go back to where we started. So answering the myths of fact, are snakes slimy? Not really. The snakes are covered by scales that are generally dry. And what do the scales do? They kind of grip the surface and help the animal move. Can snakes hear? Not really. They don't have any external ear pinna the way we do, but they can detect the world by the vibrations that are happening and the other methods that they use to sense the world that is there around them. So can snakes swallow prey larger than their head? Absolutely. And they have highly specialized skull with mobile jaw elements, very strong tendons and ligaments and joints to help them do that. Can snakes hypnotize you? Absolutely not. And the snake has no interest in doing that either. Do snakes chase people? No. We learned that snakes are super shy. They'd much rather flee the situation, hide, or even play dead than come chasing after a person. And are all snakes venomous? No. There is only a very, very small percentage of snakes that are venomous. And the most common venomous snakes that you may encounter in Bangalore are the big four. So we also have an app. So if any of you guys would like to learn more about snakes, learn more about what are the first aid, if some snake bite were to happen, you guys can refer to this. I am just going to see if I can give you a glimpse of what is there in the app. We have it in all 3 languages. And we have like a detailed listing of what to do in case of a snake bite. And it gives you instructions orally as well, right? So we have that, what not to do if something were to happen. And we have a feature where if you saw a snake, what were you to do? We already went over this during our session. It also gives you a list of closest rescue centers you can contact in case you were to encounter a snake in your space. And you also have a fun way to identify what snake it is. So if you keep giving these answers, right? For example, we'll do it for a rat snake, a ringworm. So where did you see it? So if you give all these answers, it's going to help you identify what are the potential snakes you saw. We also have some ways to see how to keep snakes away from our habitat. So the main thing to keep snakes away is maintain your, food, manage, make sure that rats and frogs are not around your homes, no clutter, make sure that there is a buffer. Your habitat and the snake habitat is kind of kept separate, and there is no overlap that is happening. And also one more thing that we see is whenever there is like extreme weather conditions, extreme heat, or if it's raining, the snakes get flushed out of their burrows or their hiding spaces, and there is a potential for our paths to cross. And this is something I am sure all of you guys will enjoy. We have a quiz. You guys, it's a question bank of about 200 odd questions. So if you keep playing this, you guys will become snake experts in no time. And we also have all the snakes of Bangalore for anybody who's interested in going and learning more about them. It gives you where are they found, what could it be confused with, and things like that. This is a web app. You can also install it in your devices if you would like to. So that is all from me today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and we will open up for questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Subiksha. That was a really fun and very informative session. I am really happy to know that snakes are not interested in hypnotizing us or in chasing us. That's great. And the story of the rainbow snake was so fun. I think everyone loved that in the chat. I could see people
Oh, that's
loving
nice.
the
That's nice to
rainbow
know.
snake. Yeah, you may not have seen that. Okay, so if all of you liked Subiksha's session, let's first give a round of applause to Subiksha. You can put in your emoticons, whichever you like. There was claps and hearts and all that. So we'll take some questions now. Whoever wants to ask a question, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you and you can ask your question. You can also put your question in the chat, and if anybody is attending on YouTube Live, you can also put your question in YouTube Live chat and we will answer your question. Okay, so first we have Rohan. Rohan, go ahead.
Hi, Rohan.
I have 2 questions.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, please tell me.
Like, you said that like the snakes once had legs, right?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Snakes don't?
I thought like don't snakes evolve from mosasaurs?
So if we're not able to understand your question, Rohan, can you type it out?
Yes,
I
please.
think the audio is probably not great.
It's breaking.
Can you just type out your question in the chat and Subiksha will answer it right away.
Rohan, are you putting down your question?
Yes, I'm typing it.
Okay, all right.
Typing it, okay. Okay, while Rohan is typing his question, we can take one more question in the meantime. Arjun, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, does snakes eat small birds?
Yes, snakes do eat birds. We have a lot of arboreal species of snakes. They do eat birds. And we do get cases where sometimes if people have pet birds in a balcony outside, right, that also tends to draw in snakes. Yeah.
I actually have a small lovebird in my. I actually have two lovebirds in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
take care of them carefully. I put them outside on my balcony, and I see, and I also look if there any snake coming near or other bird which is trying to annoy my pet birds. Plus,
Absolutely. That is one thing to kind of, if you snake proof that area, right, then the snake won't be able to get to the bird. But they do
because I
eat bird.
live
Yes.
because I live in Smaran, so there the last time you always see some few snakes going around.
Okay. Okay. All
That's
right.
it. Plus, another thing is that I put my pet birds inside a cage.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
That's
sure.
also another way to keep them safe. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just make sure the mesh size of the cage is small enough for snakes to be not able to enter it.
yeah. It's a little bit. It's kind of thin.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
Question is there. My question
Thank
is in the,
you.
my question is in the chat.
In the chat. Okay. Yes, so
Let
we'll
me
just come
take a
back to
look.
you once
Yeah.
Rohan's question is answered.
Fine.
Hi, Rohan. All right, I'm just taking a look. No, they did evolve from this common group of, they both birds and snakes have a reptile ancestor called sauropsids. And, what happens with evolution also, right? It's not like a very linear chain that happens.
It's
So
a
at
tree
different points,
basically.
depending on what habitat or what lifestyle the animals kind of moved into, the evolution happened based on that. So in terms of common ancestors for birds as well as snakes, it is sauropsids. And most of the times, this hypnotizing myth may have come from, because see, if you see snakes, right, they don't have eyelids. It's not like they're blinking and closing their eyes. They instead have a membrane that is covering them. So if you look at a snake, it's just kind of looking at you dead in the eye and not blinking. That is probably what contributed to people thinking, oh, the snake is casting some myth, some spell on me, or is kind of trying to mesmerize me. And also, what happens is whenever a snake is confronted by a predator, right, it usually, kind of freezes completely to avoid detection, along with the staring that might have made people think that, it's trying to hypnotize them. And also, some snakes tend to sway their head. You see the cobra, it does that. So, it may be a combination of these factors that contributed to that myth coming about. Yeah, that's what I think might have happened there. Yeah. Yeah. Gurudev, I just saw your message. Yes, the app can be installed in the mobile. If you
What?
scroll down, you have an option to install it in your device as well. Okay, we have Saurabh with a question.
Suvir. I see
Suvir, sorry.
Suvir, yeah. Okay.
Suvir,
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks for
sorry.
your
Sorry
question,
about your
Rohan.
name.
Thanks, Subiksha. Yeah, let's go with Suvir's question.
Okay, so I have a question. What category would the Malabar pit viper come in?
Your Malabar pit viper, in the sense, in terms of like you're asking the venom category?
Venom.
Okay, that would come in your the cytotoxic.
Psychotoxic. And no, and venom category, mildly venomous or very venomous?
It is highly venomous.
Oh,
Yes.
it's my favorite snake.
Yes, they do. They are
It's my
highly
favorite
venomous species
snake.
of snakes.
It's
You
my
don't,
favorite
it's your
snake.
favorite snake. Okay, that's nice. And they're very pretty, and they do have pretty interesting adaptations. So, yeah. On the outskirts of Bangalore, you may get to see them.
I don't live in Bangalore, to be
Oh, okay,
honest.
okay. Sorry, I'm so tuned to hearing about snakes from all across Bangalore. So, yeah.
But can you see it in East India, Western Ghats, something like that?
Absolutely. You will find them in the guard section. Pitwai, Malabar
Eastern
Pitwai.
Ghats? Eastern Ghats?
Yes, you would find them.
Okay.
Thanks, Suvir. Okay, we have a few more questions in the chat. Ulas is asking, are there poisonous snakes in India?
Not poisonous snakes. We have venomous species of snakes. Yes.
And Aman is asking, there is a baby cobra in their garden and it was hissing one night, and where could it have come from?
It is possible it may, if you have any empty plots near your house, Aman, or if there is like a drainage channel that's running around, it could have come from any of those spaces. But don't worry, if it's in a space like a garden, the animal may just be crossing over from one space to another and may have accidentally come into that area and would mostly be on its way out. So what did you do, Aman, during that time? Did you call a rescue or did you wait for it to move away? You can let me know in the chat box, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have Nana Ji asking, is there any medicine which we can keep with us when snake bites happen?
Not any medication as such. See, antivenom is the only drug that works against snake bites, absolutely nothing else. And antivenom is an injection that is taken through intravenously. So it has to literally be injected into your vein. So you can kind of keep antivenom in stock if you stay in an apartment complex or something like that, just to be on the safer side. But to be able to, administer it, you would have to take yourself to the hospital. And please don't self-medicate or do anything of that sort in case of a snake bite, because you wouldn't know what snake has bitten you. If you wouldn't even know if it's an actual bite or not. So if you go to the doctor, they will keep you under observation, and only if you're showing symptoms, antivenom will be administered. Hope that answers your question, Nanaji. Thank you.
Okay, okay, Ivan is asking, can snakes fight with each other?
Snakes do fight with each other. Like we were discussing, they are territorial. So if you see, sometimes, they will be chasing each other out. People usually confuse when they see the snakes mating, right? They kind of coil and do that. So people usually assume that they're fighting, but that is not the case. But snakes do, kind of have territorial fights where they defend their territory and try to chase other snakes away. So yes, that does happen.
Interesting. And Ivan is asking, if a snake bites, do you have to wash it in water? Or is
If a
there like some
snake
first aid that
bites, in terms of first aid, I'll just walk you through a couple of things. One of the first things is stay calm, because if anybody has been bitten by a snake and they start panicking, that is going to increase the speed with which the venom circulates in the body, right? Your blood pressure is increasing. Point one. Second thing is, don't have anything tied around it. Even if you have like watches, rings, any jewelry, take it out, because you want blood flow to happen in that area so that that part doesn't start necrosing. And you have to keep that area immobile. Don't like flop your hands around. Keep them immobile and keep them below your heart rate. If something happened on your legs, right, it's fine. It's naturally below your heart level. But if it's on your forearm or something, don't hold your hand up like this. Keep it down below the heart rate. That also slows down circulation. And if you want to lie down on the side, not on the back. And again, rush yourself to the hospital immediately. You don't necessarily have to, wash the site of the bite. That's what is usually advised with dogs. Take yourself to the hospital immediately. There they will be cleaning the wound with saline and treating it as well. So please don't waste any time. Take yourself to the hospital immediately. But these are some pointers that you can keep in mind on your way there.
Thank you, Subiksha. That was very helpful. Okay. So there is a lot of questions coming in about rat snakes. Aproda is asking, what will a Russell Viper do when it sees a rat snake?
If it depends on, they'll mostly have some interaction where they will, whoever has the territory is going to want to chase the other snake out of there. So that is what is going to happen. They're not going to want to share the space.
Okay. And if you see, okay, Johan is asking, we saw rat snakes entangled and moving around. So are they mating or fighting?
They're most likely mating. That is what they usually do. They kind of entangle each other and they'll be moving around together. So that's usually the mating behavior, not necessarily fighting. Yeah.
Okay. And Rania is asking, can one type of
Sorry,
snake
guys.
mate with another type of snake?
No, Rania. they can only mate within the same species. So a spectacled cobra can only mate with a spectacled cobra. A rat snake can only mate with a rat snake. There cannot be crossovers that happen like that. So yes. They may mate with other snakes. It's not like they're monogamous. It's not like they mate for life, but they do mate within their own species.
Okay. Oh, we have a lot of questions. Okay, so we'll take questions for a couple of minutes and the rest we can take on email.
Absolutely.
So Ivan is asking, how do snakes mark their territory?
Snakes also leave out this thing called musk. Rat snakes especially tend to do that. So they do mark their territory through scent in some ways, not strictly in the same sense that the dogs do by urinating, but they do leave out musk. That's how these other snakes pick up on those cues, right? To see if another snake has been in that space or not. Shall I answer the next question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
Swati, will all hospitals treat snake bites? Where should we usually approach? So all government hospitals are supposed to be equipped with treating snake bite victims free of cost as well. But in our app, but although it is only specific to Bangalore, we have listed some private hospitals where we have called and checked with each of them if they have antivenom in stock, if they treat all age groups and things like that. Best thing to do would be to look up some hospitals that are near your house and check in with them if they are equipped to treat snake bite victims. If you're in Bangalore, you can refer to the app and it will connect you to your closest hospital. Are snakes cannibals, Arjun? Yes, they are. They do eat other snakes within that. I mean, each other. King cobras, they do end up eating a lot of other species of snakes. So Rohan is asking, what are the chances of hybridization in snakes? In wild snakes, I don't think there is really a chance because they do stick to mating within their own species, right? So Ullas is asking, how big would a snake's territory be? Snakes don't need a lot of space, Ullas. That is why they are so successful in cities. If you see other wild animals like deers and leopards, you don't see them around. But snakes, they can do very well with small spaces. So a small empty plot near your house can definitely support a snake. And they will use these underground channels where these rat holes, right? They'll have multiple entry and exit points. They kind of move around there. But I don't expect the territory to be very big in that sense. How is antivenom made from Naveen Kumar? So, Naveen, what happens is antivenom, the venom is usually injected into an equine, a horse, for example. The horse's body produces antibodies against the venom. So, that is kind of harvested, distilled, and then administered. So, do we have, okay. I think that's all the questions. If there are any more, you can give us a call on our helpline or through email, and we'd be happy to take them.
Yeah, okay. So we've run out of time, but you can send us your questions on email, and I can send it to Subiksha, and she can answer them for you. So we close the session now. And thank you, Subiksha. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank you
leading
so
this
much.
session. And thanks to the audience for all the very interesting questions. I'm just going to take there was one question on YouTube, sorry,
Absolutely.
which I think we have not seen yet. Can you tell us, is there any questions on YouTube?
Yes, so there's one question, if I'm not wrong. So someone asked, do all snakes have venom and only some snakes' venom is toxic to humans? As in all snakes have venom to help digest that way, but are some specifically toxic to us?
Some, see, for example, the wine snake is mildly venomous, but that venom cannot impact or wouldn't have any effect on a human, for example, right? And not all snake venom is fatal or I mean, of concern to us rather, or to humans in that sense. And yeah, sorry, what was the other part of your question again?
So it just asked whether some snakes have venom in specifically that would be toxic to us.
Not necessarily. It depends. For example, the big four have venom that is potent enough to affect people. Some other species of mildly venomous snakes would not have the same impact on us. And there is just one question I'd like to take from this. He's asked if how long will it take for a person to pass out? Usually after a snake bite happens, right? The sooner you get to the hospital, the better it is. But the first 4 hours of a snake bite, they're also called the golden hours. In 4 hours, if you take yourself to a hospital, that's a good enough time for you to get the necessary treatment.
4 hours. Okay.
4 hours. Yes.
Okay, so everyone remember, if you get bit by a snake, go to a hospital within 4 hours or as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you so much to our audience for asking so many questions and being very interactive throughout the session. And we hope that all of you will keep observing nature and be very kind to snakes that you see around you. And we'll see you in the next webinar. And happy Sunday, everyone. And thanks again, Subiksha.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. It was delightful
Thank you,
to interact with all
Subiksha.
of you. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.